So here in this video, we're going to be having a look at the blocks module and how to create new blocks, how to modify blocks, how to reorganize blocks, and also a couple of different types of blocks that you can use when you're working in the content management system, depending on how your site is set up. So the first kind of block, which is popular and easy to use, are these icon-based blocks. Now, the advantage of these is that when you create these blocks, we can use a pre-designed icon and then add and edit our own text. So we don't need a designer to design the different kinds of blocks. And if we have a look at the other kinds of blocks, coming over here, the image-based blocks, each of these kinds of blocks is an image. So each of these images would need to be created in an application like Adobe Photoshop or by a designer. So there's that extra level of technical knowledge and design knowledge that you need in order to modify or update or add new blocks in this section. But we'll have a look at how we work with both and demonstrate some of the differences between them both. So if we come back to the icon-based blocks, this is the first kind of block that we're going to modify and work with. So we'll come up to our content management system and jump straight into the block section, so we can have a look at the blocks that already exist and we can modify these or add new blocks. So if we have a look at an existing block, the About Us section here, we can see if we come to the Edit button across on the right hand side and click that, then we have the name for this block. So the name here isn't required, but it's useful to put there because it acts as a reference for us, and when we're editing the icon or the image-based blocks, it helps to see which block we're choosing or editing. The title here, the About Us, and then the short description, if we have a look at our icon-based blocks, are essentially these two lines of type. So we have the icon up at the top here, text about us, and the short description. And then if we come down, we can see we have a long list of different icons that we can use. So you can see we're using the info circle here, but to change this, we can simply select any one of these icons that are listed. And so you can see this is why this is such a popular way of creating blocks, because you have lots and lots of options without moving to the point where you need a designer to design a new image for you. So if we scroll up, we'll just make a quick change. It will come up to About Us, the title, and we'll just remove the us from that. So noting that we're not removing it from the name, we're removing it from the title. And then when we scroll down and hit publish, and then come back to our site, once we hit refresh. So one other thing that you'll need to do as well here is reorganize your blocks. So if we click back to the content management system here, to reorganize the blocks, we're coming across the right hand side here, and we can grab this blue icon with the arrows and click and hold and drag that down. So I'm going to drag this to the About Us to just before contact. So I've dragged it down, and we press publish now. We'll see that the About Us section, once we hit refresh, is going to move across to the right hand side there. So let's now have a look at how we add a new block. So if we click the add button up at the top here, we're going to add a new block here, and the name for this will be Our Rates. The same for the title here. And then we can type in a short description in the description box here. So now we'll scroll down and we'll find an icon that we can use. And then we'll add the US dollar symbol, and then we'll come down and we will add a link to a page on our site. So here we have a few options depending on which modules you have turned on. We're going to use the URL for this particular option. So we'll just select URL, and then we'll come to our site, and we'll come to the About Us section and use that to link to. So if we select the URL up here and then right click and copy, we'll come back to our new block and then paste in the URL here, publish this. So now that we've created the Our Rates block, if we come to the site and have a look, refresh it, we'll see that the Our Rates block isn't visible yet. And the reason for that is that we can only display 4 blocks in the block section on the website. So if we come back to our content management system, then what we'll need to do is hide or move one of the blocks. So that the Our Rates block will become visible. So we'll hide the facts section here. So we can hide blocks by clicking on the ghost button here, and we'll press publish to save that change. And now if we come back to our site and hit the refresh button, we'll see that the Our Rates button is now visible. So that's how to create and make visible a new block. So now that we've had a look at the icon blocks, we'll move on to have a look at the image blocks. So you can see here that for each of these blocks, we essentially have one single image, and when we click on one of these, it will go to that section of the website or the page or URL that we've selected it to link to. So if we come back here, we're going to look at how we replace the services block here. So if we come into our content management system, and I've moved to the content management system for this site with the image blocks, we'll come into the block section and we can see the 4 different blocks that we currently have, and we're going to add a new block. So as we scroll down here, you'll see that instead of having the list of icons, we have the ability to browse for a file. So we'll click on browse, and we're going to upload this image, My Rates, which is an image that's been designed. The text has already been placed on it. So this is the key here really with the image blocks, that you need to design everything for those blocks before you actually use them on your websites. So making sure each of the 4 blocks that you're going to use is size in pixels matches for the width and height, and then also keeping the design consistent between those blocks. So we'll open this up and it will quickly upload to the site, and then we'll type in the name here for this, My Rates. And in this example, we don't want to see the title and description below, although with some block setups you can have an image with a title and description below instead of having the icon up at the top. And then we need to choose where we're going to link to. So we'll come back to our site here and we'll just scroll up, and we'll come up to the top and copy the web address, the URL for that page. So select it, right click and copy, or Command C or Control C on the Mac or PC, and then we'll come back to the content management system, and from the link to option here we can either select link to URL, or in this case we could link to the page. So if we go link to page, then we can select My Rates, but actually we'll, for this example, we'll just paste in the URL that we already copied, and we'll leave it opening in the same window because it's on the same website. If we're linking to an external website, then we might want to open it in a new window. We'll press publish here, and you can see that now when we come back to the home page, we still don't see the My Rates block here, and all we need to do is come back into the content management system and reorganize the block so that My Rates will move up to the top, and we'll move services down to the bottom, and we can ghost it as well if we want by clicking on the ghost button and then press publish. And now if we come back to our site, hit the refresh button, you can see that we have About, My Rates FAQ and Contact, and if we hit the My Rates button, it's going to jump to that page. So as we've mentioned a couple of times, in order to use the image blocks, you will need to have the ability to design new image blocks as you need them. If you're looking for something that's easily manageable with less in-house design skills or the need to use a designer, using the icon blocks is a really great way to manage your blocks. And lastly, as I mentioned with the image blocks, if you do need to create new blocks, then if you right-click on one of the blocks that's pre-existing and save the image to your computer, then you can use that block to design over the top of. So just using the pixel width and height of that block in Photoshop or your image editing application will give you the exact size that you need and the exact proportions to upload that image block. For managing other parts of the navigation, such as the navigation bar at the top, do take a look at the video for managing the navigation module and the other videos for managing different aspects of your website.